Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Nastazsa. If you're new here, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. For today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys some tips for when it comes to living in a smaller apartment. I currently am in a pretty small apartment. I've actually been living here for the past 3 years. So since it is about time for me to move and leave this apartment for a bigger space, I thought I would share with you guys just some overall tips and tricks that I used when living in a smaller space, whether it's an apartment or a home. I feel like you guys will find this video helpful. And if you guys have any helpful tips to share, make sure to leave them in the comments down below. And without further ado, we can just jump right into it. If you're new to my channel, then you've never heard me say this before, but if you aren't new and you're a returning subscriber, then you guys know I talk about decluttering all the time because it really is the first step. It can be good whether or not you're in a small space or a larger space too, but definitely thinking about those items that you have and that you're bringing within your home are so important. Decluttering is super important, and I think it will really change a lot of things. So for me, I am going through that process right now, and I'm actually seeing that I've been in this apartment for 3 years, but there are items in here that I never touched or used within the entirety that I had been here. So those items, to me, I felt like they were essentials and I felt like they were things that I needed, but I didn't use them this whole time. So for that reason, I am getting rid of them. So what I would recommend doing is really catering this towards yourself. I know we watch a lot of YouTube and TV and everything, and we kind of tend to go with what other people think are essentials, especially when we're moving out. So definitely think about yourself and what you need, because there were a lot of things that I picked up that I just thought were like essentials or things that I would use and I didn't end up using them. And that is where a lot of the clutter came from. So one tip that I have for you guys, if you're just starting to get into the decluttering process, is to really go through everything and get yourself on a donation cycle. If you feel like you have a lot of excess stuff or stuff you don't need, think of it as an activity that you're going to do every week, and encourage yourself to donate one item every week. And I know a lot of you are probably like, well, if I donate one item every week, like I'm not gonna have anything left. Trust me, you will have so much stuff. It can be something as small as just like a t-shirt or just extra stuff that you have, and that is really gonna get you in the right direction, because when you have a decluttered space, your apartment will look 10 times better. I don't care how expensive the furniture is that you have or how nice it is or anything like that. If you have a ton of stuff around, your place just isn't going to look good. It's gonna look like a cluttered mess. So definitely start with decluttering. It's the best thing to do, especially in a smaller apartment. You will just feel 10 times better and your space will look 10 times better as well. Another thing that is key when you live in a smaller home, that is making use of your wall space. This is probably the most important thing that I'm going to talk about in this video, other than the decluttering, but using your wall space for artwork, decor, storage, lighting. Make use of the wall space and you will get rid of a lot of the clutter that's on the floor. So for me, within my bedroom, I do not have any recessed lighting or overhead lighting. I've had to provide all of the lighting myself. I do have these bedside table lamps, but that's not enough lighting. So what I do have in my bedroom is a wall sconce. It is perfect. It serves the perfect amount of light, and it is not a large, oversized floor lamp that takes up a lot of space. So I'm getting my lighting and I'm still keeping the space within the room, which in turn is going to make the room appear bigger. Another thing that I love to incorporate is artwork. Artwork is super important, and that has been lately like my favorite form of decor. So one place that I've been loving their artwork recently is Fi. They have a ton of cool art prints as well as decor pieces, just things that are very unique, and as well as a lot of them serve a purpose and have like really cool designs and aspects, but I've just been loving their artwork. So a huge thank you to them for sponsoring today's video, and I was able to pick out a few art pieces from them that I absolutely love, and these are serving as decor on the wall. They're serving as a nice little pop of color, and again, I'm being really intentional with where I'm putting them, and I have these little picture ledges that I actually put them on. So that is pretty much the only source of color as well as decor coming into the room, because I truly feel that artwork is super important. It can be a great focal point. It can add that nice pop of color, as I mentioned. So I would definitely recommend checking out Fi if you're looking for artwork, because they have something for every single person's decor taste. They have art deco, photography, they have cool quotes, whatever you're looking for, they have it and it will match your space. Again, they come in these really good quality frames as well. So if you're in the market for some new artwork to add that little pop to your space, I would definitely recommend checking them out. They were also kind enough to provide a discount code for my subscribers, so make sure to check the description box down below. I will have a link to Fi as well as the discount code for you guys to take advantage of. It'll just be great to add something to your walls in your apartment and kind of get rid of something that is on the tabletop that is taking up space. This next tip is actually going to save you a lot of money. I implemented this tip last year, and the amount of money that I was able to put into my savings is ridiculous, and the amount of money that I realized that I was just mindlessly spending on stuff for my apartment that didn't make sense. So be intentional with your purchases for your apartment. Does the item that you are purchasing need to be purchased? Is it something that you're gonna use for a few months and then get over it? Is it a mindless decor piece that is from a random collection that just came out that you feel like you need, but then you have to remind yourself that there'll be another collection next month that you'll also want something from? So just being very intentional with your purchases, as well as avoiding mindless shopping that has no purpose. Now, I used to go to stores like IKEA and Home Goods, and I would just go because I was bored or I wanted to see what new decor they had. Now, I have stopped doing that. I do not go to these stores to shop if I don't need anything. And let me just tell you, my apartment has like half the stuff it did in it. My bank account has way more money in it, and everything that I have just serves a purpose and is more intentional. You have to realize and remind yourself you're always gonna want new home decor, new stuff, and you don't always need it. So sticking to more intentional pieces that serve a purpose is always going to be better. And again, telling yourself, do you actually need this item? Do you already have this item? Is one thing that you can also tell yourself. And if you do already have that item and you want to replace it with something new, that's great, but you need to get rid of that old item as well. So definitely being mindful with what you're spending money on and what you're bringing into your small apartment is going to make a huge difference. The next tip I have is to use your space wisely. Don't purchase furniture pieces that you don't need or you don't find yourself using. Again, this goes back into, we watch a lot of things, we see a lot of things, and we think that we need a lot of things. Something you have to remind yourself is that we are all very different and we all have different needs, especially when it comes to home decor and furniture and decor and things that you want within your home. So don't just jump into getting a smaller apartment and buying all of the basics and thinking that you need them. For me, in this apartment, I went ahead and I got a coffee table and a couch and a rug and a side table and all these different things, and then I realized I prefer to not have a rug. I have allergies. It might be better to not have that like shaggy rug that looks cool because it really just bothers my nose half of the time. I had side tables on the side of my couches, but that made no sense because I never use them. I always put my stuff on the coffee table, but I bought side tables because I thought that it was, you know, it went along with everything I needed for my living room area. But it didn't turn out that those were things that I needed to use. So I would actually recommend purchasing things for your place piece by piece to know that you'll use them and get a lot of use out of them. I personally think it's important in a smaller place to have storage furniture. It will make things look very clean and that very like minimal aesthetic, which is what I like to go for, especially in a smaller place. For example, my TV console is a like buffet piece and it has so much storage in it. And honestly, if you were to open it, there's just so much stuff in it and it's serving as a storage piece. But when you walk into my living room space or look into the living room, I'll insert a clip here, it looks like everything is just like super minimal and I have nothing like in excess, when in reality, I went ahead and I was just smart and I bought a furniture piece that would fit all of my mindless junk that I'm still working to get through and get rid of, but I have it all within there. So when you walk in, you're not seeing all of that extra stuff. It's just hidden away in that storage furniture piece. So that is something that I would recommend if you're in an apartment. Buy more storage pieces. Even if you get a coffee table that has a storage in it, trust me, you can just put all your stuff in there that you're not using at the time and it will just make your space look that much bigger, because when there's not a lot of clutter out, that's when the apartment can appear bigger. So the last tip I have is something that I like more recently realized, and that is if you don't read books, avoid bookshelves in smaller spaces. Unless you have like a bookshelf that again is serving the purpose of like holding your books. The whole like styled shelving I think is beautiful. It's an aesthetic and I definitely have like always wanted to achieve that. I've had it in my apartment before, and in this apartment I actually had to get rid of my bookshelves because I had a bunch of like random decor on it that I didn't need. And number two, I needed the space for something else and there was really like no books on it. I put like coffee table books on it. So rethinking things like bookshelves and stuff that you want to have a ton of styled stuff on in a smaller space that is going to look like clutter. Having like those bookshelves with a ton of different decor pieces on it are great if you're living in a larger home and you're just trying to fill up space. But in a smaller apartment, you're not trying to fill up space. You want to be mindful of how you fill up the space and make sure you're not overfilling it. So that is just something that I would definitely take into consideration. I think a lot of people like to have like those styled, you know, shelves in your smaller apartment, but it can definitely look like clutter and it just, you end up putting just like random stuff on it that you don't need, trust me. All right, so those were all of my small apartment decorating tips that really work. I hope you guys learned something from this video. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you guys so much for watching and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!